I need you to get to a place where you can choose to be courageous in selling your products and services so you can have a successful business. At the end of the day, small businesses are what create stronger community. And so if you decide to be a small business owner, that's like a part and parcel of it. So let's go make sure you can do that. That's what I'm all about.
Hey, I'm Megs, and welcome to the Free to Be You podcast. I am an identity and alignment coach who is passionate about helping you move into the second chapter of your life as the freest, most self-expressed version of who you really are. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that when you decide to go on this journey and rediscover you, you are going to need people around you who are going to encourage you to keep moving forward and keep choosing yourself. I have created a free community of women who are doing just that. It's called the Freed to Rediscover You group. It's over on Facebook. The link is in the show notes below this episode. I would love to see you there. I would love to support you on your journey to moving through self-abandonment and into full self-expression. My guest today is Katie Nelson, founder and CEO of Sales Uprising. She is someone who encourages business owners and entrepreneurs to play smarter, better games in the big leagues. She's firmly committed to changing the current statistic that 90% of businesses do not meet their sales goals and ultimately fail. She developed the message, cash flow is oxygen, and made it her mission to bring the fun back into sales. Katie uses her charismatic style as a speaker, consultant, and business coach to encourage business owners that they too can make their revenue dreams happen. Katie is a bundle of fun. I know you're going to love her, so let's get on with this awesome conversation with the amazing Katie Nelson. Katie, welcome to the Free to Be You podcast. I'm so excited to have you here because I love your energy and I know we're going to have a very self-expressed, fun conversation. Give us a little intro, like where are you from and a little bit about what you're about. They haven't even heard you say anything yet, so I'm going to shut up now.
Well, Megs, thank you so much for having me on. I love everything about your mission to get self-expression out there. So I'm thrilled to be on the Free to Be You podcast. My name is Katie Nelson, and you and I met, we met in a podcast networking group, but I am a business owner. I'm a business coach. I hail from Fairfax, Virginia. In an odd twist, I grew up in Tempe, Arizona, which here in the States is about 3,000 miles away from where I was born. And when I got married, I came back to the scene of the crime, and I now live like 20 minutes from where I was born.
Back to the scene of the crime. I love that. So cool. Yeah, we haven't known each other very long, but I do feel like we're a bit of a kindred spirit just in terms of how we approach life. It's the energy that we run at life with and the confidence, I suppose, that you ooze. And that was before we even spoke, but just in the way that you came across in the posts and the conversations we were having in text form. I was like, I got to talk to this lady. She's so like me. And how was that when we first met? We totally were feeling that way and it was mutual, which was great. So yeah, I love your confidence and I love the energy that you use. And I think that's something that we could really dive into just in terms of, it's not natural. It's not like we were born with it. Well, maybe some of it, but it comes from a lot of work. And so I love what you do, obviously working in sales, and I've got a sales background, so we have that in common as well. But yeah, tell me a little bit about like, where did this energy that you have come from?
I think the source has changed over the decades. So, when I was younger, I think my parents would have told you I was like this from the womb. I literally, while I consider myself an ambivert because I absolutely need my downtime, I am a true extrovert. I get my energy from humans. In my ambivert moments, I get it from the earth and being grounded and connected in a present moment. But ultimately, I love everything human. I love the entire spectrum, good, bad, ugly, caring, every word, all of the words. And that it really gets me going. And so in what I do, it's helpful. My more humans is better for me. That's where it all comes from.
Totally. But you also, as much as you say that, you give a lot of energy. So you may get energy from that, but you also, I can say from experience, give a lot of that. So it's this beautiful to and fro, because some people can suck your energy, right?
We call them energy vampires.
We
So,
know who the
right? Yes. So they're energy vampires. And that's in and of itself, it's a different vibe entirely. So heavens to Betsy, please help, heavens help me never be an energy vampire. Absolutely. The goal is to, in interaction, in communication of any kind, is to like give a little bit of yourself. My energy comes from the fact that I'm just with other humans. They don't give me their energy. I'm just with them. And I find that exciting. And it leads to new conversations, and everything is new. It's all potential. It's all possibility. It's all positive until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
So I get to every time, like it's just always that way. And so I have plenty to give also. And thank you for noticing.
Totally notice. And so, yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like we all have times in our life where our energy isn't as high, and having the awareness around where to obviously get a rise in energy or gain energy. Moving away from energy back into confidence. I think that as mums, and definitely this is the case for me, when I was in the throes of bringing up my children, in the that journey was for a lot of times amazing, but sometimes I have struggled to have the energy and the confidence as well. And so now that they're older and I'm on the other side of that, I look back at everything that's transpired and the journey that I took, and I can see the amazingness in it now. But at the time, I just felt like, oh, this is like my life. This is my lot. Like I've got to just manage this journey and these children, and we love them. And I got a lot of energy we do love them. I got a lot of energy from playing with them and being with them, like you're saying, but then they grow up. And so now they're a lot older. They actually would rather hang out in the room, which is fine. I know they still love me. They come out for food and we feed them. But now that they're older and they don't need so much of my time and my energy, I found that, and a lot of the people that I've worked with over the years found that that was a time where this massive void is there. And so we have this all this space, and that is not something that we're used to. And so what I found is that we're either going to fill that space with something that lights us up and gives us energy and create something amazing, or we're going to struggle to really identify in a new way and find confidence to be something without that, because that's all we've known.
I believe that to be true for moms, right? I only have fur babies, but parenthood, and I'm a part of the village. That's like, I'm literally like I am that aunt. And so I get this conversation more than I know. For the moms who don't have support, I think that they talk to me because they're like, yeah, my other mom friends wouldn't understand why I'm going through this. So this is what I want to tell you. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, right? When you first bring home this little baby smelling, right? There's that one smell that a baby has, newborn smell. That's so it's the best thing ever. I think there's even a science that says it's the best smell, and every human falls in love with that smell. Even though you had this desire to be a mom, or you're now in a place where you're carrying this newborn home, I don't think that every mom who has a newborn would ever say that they're confident about it. Right. So
No.
Right. Almost the exact opposite, where we stare at them when they sleep to make sure that they breathe. And now luckily we have cameras to do that. So we can also lay down while we're staring at a screen, or, however that works for us. We're not as confident as we are by the time we launch them off into their next chapter. And so what I would tell every mom who is in the place and space of being and what now? You weren't always a mom.
Such a good point. And you're right. I didn't feel confident until maybe my third. I felt a little bit more confident when I brought her home, but they were all different. So there's a whole new learning curve with them. They wish they came with a manual, but they don't. So there's a lot of courage, isn't there, that comes from taking this little person and bringing them up. And we need to recognize that is an actual success. for sure. And we can do that again. We can rebirth something new after our children no longer need us. And I think that, well, a lot of what stops a lot of us is that we don't have confidence in anything else, like unless we had a career alongside, which a lot of people do as well. And I've always been in sales, so I could sell ice to an Eskimo, and have been told this many, many times, but it's really come from doing it. Just actually getting out there and doing it without the confidence, but it's like the courage to just step into it and figure it out as you go and get more confident. And I think that's what happens as a mum too.
100%. The moment you decide to have a child, it takes courage. Financially, it takes courage. Time-wise, it takes courage. Just the actual, all of the things, hashtag all the things, it takes courage. You don't know what that looks like. It's, and you've had 3 or by your 3rd, great. But I bet there was quirks to each one. And this didn't happen with the first one. And this didn't happen with the second one. And so what is this scenario? And ultimately, life is also like that if you choose to live it. We're constantly brought opportunities where we get to be courageous if that's what we choose to do. Courage is a choice. Every single human has it available to them. We just have to decide to step into it. And it's where confidence starts. Taking a courageous leap to do something new and then to decide to do it again. It's not just courage once. Right? When you decide to have a baby, it's kind of a commitment. I don't know if anybody told you that. I don't know if you know this, Megan, but right. So it's like a daily, I have to force myself to do this thing. Like I have no other choice. I think that what could be scary for moms is that the rest of life doesn't have to have that particular mentality, right? You don't have to do a thing if you don't want to, or if you don't like it, or what, oh my gosh, what if you fail? So the sales as an example. So I tried to sell something, it didn't work. I'm closing up my business because I got rejected, right? Or I can decide to be courageous and try it again and see if I can get different results. So you have a bad day with the baby, you also get to try it again. You're forced to be courageous the next day. So don't forget, all moms have already done this. All of you have already practiced being courageous like the majority of the time.
Yeah.
It's available for you for whatever you want it for going forward. And the beauty of it is that if you continue to do the thing, right? So day 1 through day 10, then you can go buy baby pictures, 1 month, 18 months, 5 years, kindergarten versus senior year, right? Like these are the pictures that we're seeing right now. Every day, for how long of your life have you done courageously the same thing to the point of where you then felt competent, right? That's what we're really looking for. The key between courage and confidence is the knowing. It's the knowledge of a thing, which is where the competence comes in. You know that you're a good mom because look at your product.
You have evidence.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You have kids who would say, yeah, that's my mom. Love her. She's grand. I mean, if they're teenagers, then maybe they wouldn't say it like that. But there's something that sounds like that for teenagers.
For sure. For sure.
So you're looking to do something enough so that you can have the knowledge and your understanding of you in that space. So starting a new anything, right? Starting painting. You're going to think you're doing it wrong. You're going to think that the colors don't go together. You're going to decide to do another painting and see if you can do it differently. Maybe you take a class, and it's just the choice to use your courage towards that thing until you know enough that you can say, oh, I'm relatively sure of the outcome. And then you continue to grow through your competence until you can pick up a paintbrush, grab a canvas, grab your medium, your oil paints, your watercolors, and know what's going to be on the canvas if you choose to have it be there.
So true. And it doesn't matter what we apply it to, that philosophy is exactly the same. And it's like rebirthing a new skill or a new business or a new, like it is a rebirth and it's a rediscovery. And I think that's why I love what I get to do now, because I've been through that. I've been through that where we put all of our time and energy and everything into that part of our life, then they get older, they don't need it the same, even if they're under the same roof, they don't need you the same. And I had to reinvent myself because that was busy. It was so busy. There was not enough time for me to do, even though I still do things that I enjoyed and wanted to do. And I always sort of worked along a little side hustle along the way, but I never really put everything into it to the point where I could say that I was confident. Now I have the time to do that. And this podcast is a good example of that because I haven't done this before. I mean, I've done a few now, and you're lucky you get this version. But when I started, I had no idea. And so there's that learning curve, and it's stepping into courage. It's like, is anyone going to listen to this? Is anyone actually going to be inspired by anything I have to say? I better get some amazing guests so that people want to hear, that's what's going on in the background. That's that internal dialogue, but you have to step through it and be courageous anyway. And I feel like sometimes you just have to shut that voice up, like tell it to shut up. So we can keep going all the time.
Hold on a second. There we go. I'm like that, so negative Nancy that lives in all of us, like she can just take a back seat. Like, negative Nancy's comprised of like every bully in school. I don't know about you all, but I had some grandparents that would be happy to point fingers and be like, so they're a part of negative Nancy. That there's no place in that voice for that voice, that it can stay all the way in the back row. It doesn't need to be paid attention to. There's enough in this world that we have to overcome anyway without our own hullabaloo, our own mind demons, our own BS, like wherever you want to write this. I'm trying to be mindful of the fact that there are moms on here, so I'm trying not to curse. But our own crap. It's fine. And so that's, like there's no place for that. Not only that, but this is what I really feel about that. And that's that, one, it stands in the way of our courage. It's the first thing. It's that thing that wants us to all be safe, right? We hear about this. Our brains want us to be safe. Our subconscious programming says, stay small, stay quiet, and you will live forever because no dinosaur will eat you, or whatever that is, whatever the modern version of that is. And that doesn't really exist anymore. But because of our brains and our DNA, it's still all there. It would be happy if I did not come on your podcast and talk about confidence. And let's be clear, I'm not confident all the time. We all have moments. Yeah. Even the most confident person is going to not be confident. And it's even with the thing that they're confident about. I have probably sold every day of my life for over 30 years. Oh, that's going to be on air. Anyway, so, right. Am I always confident? Oh, no. Sometimes I get nervous. Like, what if I really want the deal? Oh, then I get all like, what if it doesn't happen? It all happens all over again. I still have to decide to move forward through it and say, it's okay. Whatever is on the other side, I will survive and it will turn out all right. Oh, so no negative Nancy's. Yes. Mm-hmm. And if you hadn't told them, I bet they never would have known you didn't have a podcast. Mwahaha.
It's true.
Because you're amazing. Right. So but that's true. The thing. We give everybody else the same excuses that we give ourselves to beat us up with. Right. And there's no need for that. One, people are going to be happy to come up with their own reasons. I don't like her. I don't like her hair. I don't like how she speaks. I don't like her toenail polish color, like whatever. It's going to be something.
It's so going to be something.
And so it certainly doesn't need to be coming from me.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but it is totally something that has to be done
just like courage, right? So just like courage is a practice. Positivity is a practice. Quality self-talk, it's all a practice. And the good news is that every day we wake up and put our feet on the floor, we get to be grateful that we get another day of practice. That's it.
Yeah. So true. And so part of my vision for the world, that I know that everybody has access to this inner part of themselves, that this is where our inner wisdom is. It's come from all the experiences, all the things we've been through, good, bad, otherwise. There's wisdom in that. And so I always believe that, or I believe that if we all had the courage to access that inner wisdom, that on the other side of that is a personal freedom to be fully expressed and to be the author of your life or the leader of your life. We want to create something different than we have now or something new. We have to step through, and I believe rediscovering that wisdom that's locked inside each of us, that makes us unique, that gives us this unique perspective of the world, because no one has had the exact same set of circumstances, even if they're brought up in the same family. They have a unique way of looking at the world. To understand or access that wisdom that's inside, and then we learn how to express that. That's when the courage really sits in, because then you've got to put that out there. And I think that's where, even if we do go on that self-discovery and we start to, uncover a little bit, if we don't then step into action with that and take some sort of action towards putting it out there and testing it, I guess, like, it's just always going to be with us. And so I think that's where I love what you said earlier about having the courage to make that choice every day and to retry. I want to make sure that whatever choice that you make is actually aligned with who you are, because we don't just want to throw mud at the wall and try this and try. Well, you can, but if you were to do that and do it from a place of alignment and from a place of, I actually know this, I'm good at this. So I know that I'm a good speaker. Oh, did I just say that out loud? I said that out loud. I know that's something that I do. Again. I'm a good speaker. I can talk underwater, under cement, probably. The people that know me would agree with that. So I have no problem talking about this stuff, right? So a podcast is the perfect medium for me to be courageous with, because I could talk about this until I'm getting more and more confident every single show that we do. And so I love that. Yeah, where you're talking about where courage leads to competence. And then that's where the confidence comes from. We're never really done though, are we? I mean, there's always going to be another level. There's going to be something else to reach for, but we've got to start.
So this is the thing. So one of the things you said that I would want to go back to really quick, and that's, so anytime you want to do something new, and yes, absolutely. If you want to do something new or rebirth something, absolutely. And this also holds true if, as a mom, you are completely happy with your life, everything is great, and now you're just like, oh crap, now what? And you just want to be a better you, right? So this is true anytime you want to up level. It doesn't have to be a brand new thing. Here's a saying, you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? As a mom, you come as what an amazing story. You have how many years? And hopefully they're long years, right? Of massive amounts of experience. And so one of the things that I never ever talk about, but do you know that I think that every single human actually has something for someone else to learn? And we may not ever know if we taught that one person that one thing, right? So back to the saying of like, you never know how you impact people. You never know who hears you, or that one word that saves the day, or that one word that shifts a thought. But I believe that about everyone. I believe that everyone and their voice has a place on this earth. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Which is one of the reasons why ultimately you and I get along. It absolutely 100%. We're like, yes, everybody, like, get your voice out there. Express yourself, baby. Just like Madonna said. So yes. God, I hope that was Madonna. Anyway. But yeah, so I think I think people give up too easy.
Yeah.
I think we are really quick to say that's not for me, or maybe I was wrong about me. And so my favorite thing that you said is being aligned, like self-alignment with what you're doing. So back in the day when you and I don't know about for you, but back in the day when I was taught to sell, I was 15 and a half years old in a room with a bunch of dudes, and they were, I was a teenager. They were adult men. This was their job. This was like my part-time after school gig, and I think the first time that they gave me something was like insurance for credit cards, of which I knew nothing about, was not old enough to even own one. So I was like, I don't know what this is. Like, I can say all these words, but I don't know what this is. Why are you? And they're like, good point. Hold on. And they like go through their scripts, and they gave me maybe like golden books, like a children's book club.
Yes.
So Yeah. So yes, of course. Yes. I'm on the wall. Yes. Okay. So I was the chick 30 years ago that would call moms that were at home after, this is after school. So around 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon. And I would call moms and be like, hey, so I have a book club subscription for you and your kids. I loved books. I loved reading. So this was like brilliant for me. So was it aligned? Absolutely. Did it make the thing easier? Yes. Did I have to stumble over how to say people's names? Yes. And so how I overcame that was just by asking them. So, hey, how do you say your name? I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
This is where you can, if you are open to the process, you get to learn so much about you and what it takes to connect in whatever the medium is, right? In anything new, on a podcast, in art, in a church, in philanthropy, in a business, all of the things, right? So alignment, especially, look, if the moms are out there and they're like, now what do I do? We've got some tenure, right? We're not new. We're not shiny. We didn't just come off the block. We didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday, whatever the saying is. And so we have the ability to know, at the very least, what we like and what we don't like.
Yeah.
And if we don't, then we get to have the courage to go find out what that is. I know moms who haven't paid any attention to themselves for a minimum of 18 years while they were launching their children, right? It was all about their kids. They could tell you sleeping times and favorite foods in every minute of 18 years, but they couldn't tell you what their favorite color was anymore. They could tell you what their favorite color was for that kid or the other kid or the next kid, but they couldn't tell you what theirs was. I liken this to like The Runaway Bride. Remember Julia Roberts and Richard Gere?
Yeah.
She knew what kind of eggs she liked.
Yeah.
Because it was all about the guy she was with. It's very similar for moms.
Yeah.
So go find out what kind of eggs you like. What are your favorite flowers? Oh, and here's my favorite thing. Moms have like pat things so that the kids can get the Mother's Day gifts. Like, these are my favorite things and these are my favorite things. And they make them super easy for kids to like know what they are. But I bet there's so much more to you.
Yeah. So much
and
more.
So go have a fun, courageous journey of just you first, so you can have that self-alignment. Some moms will already be there and some won't. Go be courageous, have fun with yourself, date yourself for a little bit. And don't forget, I guess the other thing I want to say is you're still moms. This is not going away for you anytime soon, right? This is not, that job is still there. It's just transitioned. Again, that newborn is no longer a newborn, or in anything that they haven't, that they've been up to this point, just like you're not.
Oh, well, just trying to go back to one thing you said there. Figuring out what you like can be really hard when you've not chosen to like anything for a long time.
Because it's right. Because it's easier.
Right?
It's easier if you have no wants, especially if there's multiple children, or especially if there's a single family home, right? So absolutely. And of course it can be hard. We can always be scared of a thing. We've already talked about that, right? Our brain says be scared first before it says anything else. So it's another one of those things. It's an opportunity to really get to know, like, okay, so I think I remember when I was 5 that my favorite color was pink. I wonder if that was ever really true, or if that was like the product of the times that I grew up in, or if maybe that was really my mom's favorite color and she just gave it to me. And if I really like pink, it can be fun. It doesn't have to be scary.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well, because who we identified with before in our 20s and who we identify it with now in our 40s and beyond is not necessarily going to be the same version. I am nothing like I was in my 20s. I was not this self-expressed, and I was not somebody who was necessarily courageous, although people probably would be that know me would listen to this and go, yes, you were, but I didn't see myself that way, because this is what it's all about, sense of self. My sense of self back then was I was surviving. I was pretending, which is totally fine if you're trying to be confident. I was just, the confidence was on the outside, was definitely not on the inside. Obviously, there's been a journey since then, but to rediscover who I was, who I am now, is a whole different identity. So that's a really good point too, and if you go with the favorite color analogy, which I love because it's really simple to understand, it's like, well, yeah, just because I liked pink when I was 5 doesn't mean I have to like pink now. But yeah, so our sense of self changes, right? And that's, I think, super important.
And that's the thing. This is the thing, moms. it would change even if you weren't a mom. So this is the other thing I want to let you guys know. This is not weird. This is not unusual. This happens to every Joe Schmo. And I'm pointing at me. You can't see that, but I'm talking about me as the Joe Schmo in this instance. I am also not the person that I was at 20. Mm-hmm. I did not have the same experience as you, but I still had to go through this process on a continual basis. And I think that harkens back to what you said about if we're lucky, like this doesn't end. The best we can hope for is for us to enjoy the ride, for us to choose the practice. It's a choice. Choose you, choose courage.
Such a good combo. And I want to just like segue now a little bit into you, because I know that this is something that you talk a lot about, courage, and especially with, your line of work as a mentor and in the space you work in. So talk to me a little bit about how this comes up for you.
So I'm a business coach and I work with business owners that aren't making very much money. Maybe they just got started. So we call them micro businesses, all the way up to like a $5 million run rate. And the thing about on the smaller end, if you want to be a business owner, especially if you start out as a solopreneur or you're on your own or you have an outsourced team, one, it's going to involve a lot of courage regardless. So say you came from sales, great. You're going to have different challenges in starting your own business. Maybe you think you have all the answers because you've sold. So yay, it's going to be awesome. And then yet there's bam, 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 challenge. So courage comes up a lot when you start your own. From simple things like when you start your own business, you think you get to have it all your way and it's all about you. And, anybody who's been in business can tell you that it's really not about you.
They're not.
It's 100%. It's about the people that you serve. So are there fun things you get to do? Like say no if it isn't in alignment? Yes. But the more you work your business, the less of those types of prospects you're going to find anyway. So those are, again, things you learn very new in owning a business. So I talk about courage a lot to walk through a courage journey to get to a place of knowing. And the thing that I think humans hate about that, my clients, me, and everyone I know included, is that if it is a journey, it takes time.
Yes.
It takes time and the doing. And we're humans and that's not really what we want, especially in this like day and age of quick tech. I can Instacart something or Uber Eats or Grubhub or like whatever service you have that you can hit a button on your phone and a pizza shows up at your door, right? We're not interested in the time it takes. And that's where the good juice is, Megs. Like that's where all of the best stuff is. If we don't do it, we can't be competent. I don't care that you read or wrote an amazing paper, either from Cliff Notes or ChatGPT. I don't. I bet it's an amazing paper, though, and I bet it's all true. But it doesn't necessarily help your competence in that subject matter, no matter what it is. I am not as good a mom as you. I've never done it. I don't, right? So you have to do the thing. It's not just about the saying you want to. It's not just about the learning about it. The learning is just the beginning part.
Yeah.
Courage. It takes the courage to decide to do it also. It's the doing. I talk about courage a lot. We talk about competence a lot because ultimately we all want to feel confident in our space, whatever it is. If you're a business owner, the world is expecting that you're an expert in a thing. Now, if you want to be an expert in a thing, I think 10,000 hours is the amount of time is like the tipping point for expertise to happen. I think I've mentioned how many years I've sold. So I think that without even mentioning numbers, I've hit the time pretty well there. And so it just becomes like breathing, right? There's levels to your confidence journey as well. When you finally feel like you know what you're doing and it's great. And then when you can literally predict your own statistics, in whatever arena that's going to be. And then just, it's innate.
Yes.
Right. I think after confidence comes, it's just innate. So part of my confidence in anything, I will always borrow confidence, right? So for example, if I had to babysit for a week So I'm like the tag in mom, right? I'm Aunt Katie and you have to tag me in. I'm going to borrow confidence from all of the rest of my life to love and take care of these children, even though I've never been a mom. Although those babysitting classes back when I was a kid probably helps. Pretty sure I still know all my emergency moves. But yeah, so once you start the practice of courage and you say yes to you, in whatever it is, I want to shed this old skin. I want to decide to build new, whatever it is, or even I just want to figure it out, right? It doesn't even have to be a big thing. It could just be, what's my favorite color? What are my favorite eggs? Do I even like breakfast? Am I a morning person, an afternoon person, or a night person? I bet no mom can answer that question. That's not an available question for a mom. I'm all of it, all of the time. I'm also 6 a.m. and midnight, whatever it is. But wouldn't it be interested? I think those are called your circadian rhythms. So wouldn't it be interesting to see, do I like to sleep in, or do I love sunrises? Do I really hit my groove around 10 p.m. and I feel super productive? Or am I love going to bed at 8 p.m. kind of gal? Like, oh, it can start out so small if these are things you don't know about you. Yeah. And why wouldn't you want to know them? That's good stuff, man.
That. Absolutely. And that's where we get to be the creator and the author moving forward, for sure.
And so just to give you, this is what I do with my clients all the time. These are the conversations that I have. Instead of mom, it's probably about being a business owner. But ultimately, I need you as your coach to get to a place where you can choose to be courageous in selling your products and services so you can have a successful business. At the end of the day, small businesses are what create stronger community. And so if you decide to be a small business owner, that's like a part and parcel of it. So let's go make sure you can do that. That's what I'm all about.
Thank you so much for providing so much wisdom here, because I know that your journey has not been the same as mine, but felt like we were a bit of a kindred spirit just in terms of how we view the world. And I think from this conversation, everyone listening would agree. So you are definitely a bundle of joy and energy, and you can't see Katie, but she has this beautiful purple spotlight behind her. I just love it. I love everything about you. So thank you for being on the show today. And what is the best place to get in touch with you if you're listening and you're somebody that's like, you know what, I actually need to get some of this courage. I need some of this energy in my life. I need to figure out how I can move forward and sell something or make something that you already have bigger, scale it. What's the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
The easiest way would just be to go to my website, www.salesuprising.com. I'm sure we'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, definitely will. Yep.
And hit contact us. I think there's a place for notes. Be like, Meg sent me. Like, tell them. Like, right? I'll be like, I know exactly who you are, 100%. Let's get on the phone. Let's chat.
Fantastic. Well, I will definitely put that in the show notes along with some of your social handles as well, so people can keep getting to know you. And I look forward to doing more work with you because I already feel like I've gained so much from the few conversations we've had. So I might be actually clicking the contact button. And instead of saying I come from Megs, I'm being like, I am Megs. So you never know. But yeah, thank you, Katie, for being here. And if you're listening, this is not a dress rehearsal, guys. This is your life. This is it. So it's time to be brave, have courage, and step into who you really are. So I'm looking forward to having another amazing guest on the show next episode. But until then, have an amazing day. And again, thank you, Katie.